Welcome to Season 3 of the Do No Harm podcast, where we discuss the battle to keep politics out of medicine. Hosted by Ian Kingsbury, Do No Harm's Director of Research, and Scott Santorino, Vice President of Policy and Programs.
Welcome back to the Do No Harm podcast, where we defend the core values of medical practice every week. Hosted by myself, Ian Kingsbury, Do No Harm's Director of Research, and typically Scott Santorino, VP of Policy and Programs, though unfortunately he is out on other work duties at this moment. Tune in as we tackle issues such as how to combat DEI in medicine and so-called gender-affirming care, all to protect patients and ensure healthcare focuses on science and solutions, not politics. Today, I'm joined by Representative Jeremy Faison, who is a Republican member of the Tennessee House of Representatives for the 11th District and the chairman of the House Republican Caucus. Welcome, Representative.
Thank you. Glad to be here with you, Ian.
Thanks so much for joining us. For anyone who's actually watching the podcast rather than just listening, you'll see he has some trees in the background here. He's joining us, it looks like, from the forest. I promise you, this is not staged. This is where he was available to take the call. And so it's very earnest and sincere to your work as a citizen legislator. So, thanks so much for talking to us in the middle of your workday here.
Yeah. So, Ian, I live in the Smoky Mountains, God's country. And my house, actually, my property, we border the national park here. And so I've done multiple interviews and podcasts, vlogcasts, whatever they called, from this porch. And matter of fact, there's been a time that a bear came through while I was sitting on this porch. You never know. Maybe your viewers, they might get to see a bear today. It's a good possibility.
That would drive ratings. So, okay, you have to tune in. If you started this, let's see if we see a bear today.
We'll flip the camera around. If we see one coming out, we're going to flip the camera around so y'all can see it.
Perfect. That's a promise. Tell us, if you would, a little bit about your background and what made you, you're still continuing, obviously, the work that you're doing here, but doing your normal vocation alongside being a state legislator.
Well, that's a whole lot, what you just asked. So let's see if we can't dissect a little bit by a little bit. I'll take you back to 2008. My wife and I were sitting on the couch here in the Smoky Mountains, and around 9:15 in November of 2008, Florida went to Barack Obama. And when that happened, I looked at my wife and I said, honey, we got to get into politics. And she's like, what are you talking about? I said, we've just given our country to somebody who doesn't align at all with our values. And I felt like I need to run. And we kind of chuckled about it because we don't have any money. We were just started the business a couple years before. And if you remember 2008, the economy was crushing economy. And still thought about it anyway. Well, I started to pay attention to my state representative. And he was a Democrat, been there for a while. And he claimed to be a Southern Democrat, kind of a pro-life, pro-gun Democrat. But I started to dig into it, come to find out that's not exactly how it was. Shocker that a politician's not honest with who they are.
Unheard of.
Yeah, I can imagine that. We happened to cross paths. I'd never met him before in my life, but we happened to cross paths at the Bass Pro Shop in Kodak, Tennessee, in August of 2009. Now, remember, I had started in November of 2008 thinking, man, I'm interested in politics. Started paying attention to him, run into him in August of 2009, and I stuck my hand out to shake his hand. He shook my hand, I introduced myself, and hey, good to meet you. Typical glad handing, if you will. I said, Eddie, his name is Eddie. I said, Eddie, a couple questions for you as my state representative. You claim to be a pro-life, pro-gun Democrat, and we're certainly thankful for that around here. I said, you don't know this, but I'm a Republican. And two things back then in 2008, 2009 really defined me as a Republican. Who would have known what came forward from Democrats after that time, but with the whole transgender and all the stuff that we've got into through Do No Harm, that wasn't even thought of back then. But I said, you say you're Republican. I mean, you say you're pro-life and pro-gun, but I see a couple votes that I don't really feel like kind of line up with that. And he got a little frustrated with me, and I was kind of taken back. And at one point, he's like, "Well, you just don't understand what the bills do." And I'm like, "I mean, I know I'm a country boy and I'm from the mountains, but I can actually read." I was trying to be funny about it, and what he didn't think that was very funny when I said that. So Ian, somewhere it is Ian, right? Am I getting
Yeah.
that right? Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
So Ian, at some point in the conversation, I could tell it wasn't going very good, and I'm a little bit of I can be cocky at times, and the Lord is working on me on that, and he was kind of bowing up at me, and so the next thing I know, I said, "Well, Eddie, I might just run against you." At that time, my wife had saw what was kind of going on, and she'd come in to stand beside me. When I said I might just run against you, he looked at me, Ian, and he said, "Well, Jeremy, that's ridiculous. You can't beat me." Oh, son. When he said that's ridiculous, he said it in front of my wife. Well, you know the term throwing down the gauntlet. I mean, that's like bam, throwing down the gauntlet for me. And I said, "Let me tell you something, bud. That's not up to you. That's actually up to God, and we'll see about it." And I just turned around and walked off. I was a little bit soured then. So we're walking away, and my wife's like, "Honey, what was that?" I was like, "I don't know. It soured me the way he was answering me." And she's like, "Well, we don't have any money. We can't beat him." I'm like, "Well, thank you. He already told me that, and now you're telling me that." And so I couldn't sleep that night. We get home, I couldn't sleep. I mean, I was torn up. So I get up the next morning and I tell my wife, I was like, I really appreciate that. And she's like, "Honey, you can do anything you put your mind to." But they call him Santa Claus. He's beat everybody. He's beat millionaires. Who are we? Like, how are we ever going to do this? And I'm like, I don't know. But there's a little thing that happened in my belly last night. And it's called a fire in my belly. And I want to run against him. And she's like, "No, no, we can't do this. We can't do this." So I couldn't. As fall time comes in East Tennessee, we have these little harvest festivals all over the mountains. And every time I go to a harvest festival, I'd see him at these harvest festivals, and it would just chap my hide. I just it'd wear me out. And finally, I told the Lord, I was like, "Lord, I'm a Christian, so I believe in prayer." I told the Lord, I said, "Lord, here's the deal. I really want to run, but my wife is my soulmate. She means everything to me. I can't do this without her. And so if I'm going to run and it's in your will for me to run, you're gonna have to work on my honey because right now it's just a no go for me without her. She's my soulmate. She's everything to me. And sure enough, somewhere after Christmas, after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, around the 1st of December of 2009. It was like 1:30 in the morning. My wife, she rolls over and she's, "Are you still awake?" I was like, "I am." She's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm praying the Lord will change your heart so I can run against Eddie Oakley." And she said, "Well, I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm not a no anymore." Oh, son, when she said that, I didn't sleep that night either. I got up the next day, and back then I only had half of Greenville in Olive County. And I started working, and we ended up knocking in rural Tennessee like 15,000 doors, which is kind of unheard of. Um, that was a midterm election for Barack Obama, if you remember that. And if you happened to be on the Republican ticket, you fared pretty well that year. And so come forward to November of 2010, we were able to, the Lord gave us favor and we were able to secure a victory. And so that was kind of my entrance into politics. Now, me personally, there's nothing special about me. I own a pest control business, kill bugs for a living, still do, been doing that today. And to me, for me, it's important that people who make law actually go home and live in the law that they've created and be among the people that they represent. And so it works out well for me. It's not that way for everybody, but for me, it works out that way. And going into people's houses and serving people in the legislature, and I serve them as far as in my pest control business. So, and then a few other things about me personally. I have 5 kids that I love dearly, I adopted one of them, and then I have a grandson now, and he's 2 years old. And I lead worship at my church, play several instruments, and that's a big part of my life.
Not that you're busy or anything.
No, not at all, not at all.
It's amazing political lore. I mean, the idea of you being upset by insincerity and just owning this thing and saying you're going to make a change yourself. But part of what's remarkable is that you were and remain a private citizen, engaged in your own professional life. So what does that look like now? You said you still own this pest control business. So how do you balance that with being a legislator?
It's interesting. That's a good question. Through this time, we just came through this hurricane, Helene, and so I found myself doing pest control and being a public servant all in the same time. We have an office downtown Newport, and there have been times recently in my life that I've had to have several changes of clothes. And so I'll work in the morning, run to my office, change clothes, do what I need to do an interview, do this, whatever, go help somebody as far as being a state representative, meet the governor. At one point, Pete Buttigieg called and said he was coming in to look at I-40. So that day that the Secretary of Transportation's here, um, I'm literally spraying in the morning, doing everything we can because we have a guy who went to National Guard that works for me. So my pest control business is down a person. So I've had to step up. So I ran back, change clothes, go meet the Secretary of Transportation, get done with him, go back to my office, get back in my clothes to do pest control for a while, and then go do an interview for a local news station about what was going on with the hurricane. That's been kind of indicative of my life for the last 14 years since I've been in. It's one of those things that you just, I think it's good and wholesome though, because it keeps you grounded. When you walk into somebody's house who's struggling, who can't figure out, are they going to pay to get rid of their roaches, or are they gonna eat this week? Or you find somebody who's today. I took care of a guy's house for ladybugs. He he's surveyed land for 45 years, and he's always wanted to get licensed. He's never been able to get licensed. So I sat down and chatted with him for a while, and next week I'll talk with the board of licensings about that to see if there's any way to grandfather somebody in that's done something for 45 years. So it kind of gives you a perspective of being on the inside of somebody's life and understanding who they are and what government can or can't do or doesn't need to do or should do to positively impact their life.
So when you're up on the state capitol, so those days that you're not killing ladybugs, uh, what does that day look like? What occupies your time while you're over there?
So in Nashville, it is nonstop. We'll start session at second Tuesday of the year, high noon. We'll be sworn in second Tuesday of the year, high noon. That starts a vicious time from basically the second week of January all the way to the end of April. We get in, we start Monday morning and we go till Thursday early afternoon. For me, I'm in leadership, so not only do I take care of my constituents during the week that I'm there, we also have bills that we're filing, and I'm also helping taking care of my members that I serve because I serve my members in my leadership role. My secretary puts things on my schedule for a 5 to 10 minute interval, and so I typically get to the Capitol about 7:30 in the morning, and we will be having meetings back to back to back all day long, unless we're going to a committee meeting where we debate bills, or unless we're going to the House floor. The House floor typically is on Monday night and Wednesday morning and Thursday morning. And other than that, we're doing committees or having meetings with people, citizen lobbyists, people who are coming up to see us, leadership groups from our district. One of my favorite things to do, Ian, if you come or anybody watching, I would encourage you, if you ever want to do a night tour of the Tennessee State Capitol, call me. I can make it happen for you. I actually have a key to the Capitol. And so my constituents, if you're my constituent, I offer that to you. And it's amazing how many people take me up on that when we're in session. They'll come and I'll meet them up at the Capitol at 10 o'clock at night and go through the Capitol. Everybody's gone. It's locked down. It's closed. It's beautiful. It's quiet.
Hmm.
In the middle of the day, it's crazy. There's thousands of people there. You've got protesters, people yelling at you, cussing at you, acting the fool. Then you've got lobbyists wanting to talk to you, and then you got your staff needs this. But at nighttime, it's just this most beautiful, peaceful place you've ever seen that was finished in 1859. and it's still the same building that was built in 1859, one of the only original state capitals in America that is still in use. And the history in there is so rich, and I love to take people through at nighttime to finish my day up, and take them up into the tower, take them all through into the basement, let them get pictures on the house floor, the Senate chamber. It's a wonderful place. Ian, if you come, I'll personally take you on a
I
tour
appreciate it. I'm gonna have to go there just to, just take you up on that. That sounds
just to
great.
take me up on it. Yeah.
It's, it's so obvious your passion for the history and the institution. It just, it shines through. So I'm curious, the sausage making. If you could talk me through what introducing a bill or voting on a bill actually looks like. And, I'm curious, given that you came to the legislative work previously, really being, it sounds like, fully a private citizen, not someone who was really intimately engaged in the political process. If there is anything about that process, perhaps that surprised you.
Well, let's unpack that. You said a lot, so let's try to unpack that. First of all, to be a good legislator, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, whether you're moderate, liberal, conservative, independent, you said an important word that you talked about, the institution. I think it's incredibly important and incumbent on anybody who's a legislator, whether you're in U.S. halls of Congress or in your state house or state senate, is to respect the institution. What does that mean, to respect the institution? You respect the fact that, specifically my state, for 232 years, there's an institution that has represented the people of this state, and they have been careful to come up with guidelines for us, a constitution for us, rules for us that keep the engagement in such a way that the public voice is heard, that there is a decorum, and that laws can make it, or die on their merit, not based on you, but on their merit. I'm always impressed with a Democrat or Republican who comes in, who actually studies the Mason's Rules of Orders, Robert's Rules of Orders, figures out what is correct, then also studies what is the governor's agenda, what is the leadership agenda, how do I fit my agenda in, and not pitch a fit, because the truth is, in the legislature, nobody gets everything they want. I've seen the governor lose as many bills as a freshman has lost. Same thing with the Speaker of the House, same thing with me as a majority chairman. Bills live or die based on how you present them and the merit of the actual bill. That's a beautiful thing to me. And whether you get angry or not, that's where you cheapen what the institution of the legislature is. I've had the privilege, Ian, of, since I was 15, travel all the world. I've been doing mission work since I was 15, and I've been throughout, from the Asian countries to the African countries to all the way to South America, many of the islands. Um, our country is the greatest country on the planet. I have been in African countries, met with presidents in Africa on my mission trips, been to parliaments all over in Europe. We have the very best form of representative government ever in the history of America. The notion of a representative form of government never existed except when Moses was told by the Lord to do that. And then before that, it's never existed. Really kind of came up with this whole idea of a representative form of government. It is so important to recognize that, and come into it with a heart full of gratitude, realizing that massive responsibility and privilege you've been given. And so it's important that to respect that institution, coming in knowing that you happen to be one seat in there to represent a certain amount of people in your state. You're not a king. You're not a prince. You're a servant of the people. People often say, "Oh, there's Jeremy's a politician," it's always funny. People like to tease about being politicians, and they all tell you the joke. Politicians are like diapers; they need to be changed often for the same reason. It, you hear all these jokes, but it's important for people to realize that truly, though, you're supposed to be a public servant, right? The whole reason you're there is there's a group of people who believed enough in you that they say, you know what, we trust you to speak on our behalf in when it comes to lawmaking. You asked about the sausage making. So when you come up with an idea, you present that idea to you have staff attorneys, and you tell the staff attorneys exactly how you want this law to look. Unless you're an attorney yourself and you can write out yourself, but typically you use our staff attorneys for every committee. There's not an idea that you can't come up with that wouldn't fit in one of our 15 standing committees. They draft it, the legislation for you, then you file it with the clerk's office, and then the chairman of whatever committee it's going to go to will let you know, hey, it's ready, you can present it this week. Then you go and present your idea. If you've been a good legislator, you're going to go to everybody on that committee well before you have it in that committee. Explain to them what that bill does and see if you can get their support or not. If you are fortunate enough to get your ideas through committee, then you have to find out, is it funded? Does it have a fiscal impact, a negative impact, a positive impact? If the bill costs money, you're going to have to work with the governor to see if he will fund it. If not him, you got to go to the finance committee and see if you can talk them in to funding the bill. And then if you're fortunate to get it all through that, you can finally make it to the House floor and stand in front of all of your colleagues, your other 98 colleagues, and present to them the idea. And it is an amazing feeling to know. Interesting, though, when you have I fought for one bill for 6 years before and finally got it through. And when it went through, I was so excited. But the way the legislature works is the Speaker of the House says, call up the next bill, Mr. Clerk. And it's a reminder of no how big a deal you think you are or what you just accomplished. Call up the next bill, Mr. Clerk. It's a good reminder. Just keep yourself humble. The Lord allowed you to have the favor to get here and move on. Go to the next fight.
If you're listening to the Do No Harm podcast, odds are you're concerned about the steady creep of DEI and identity politics in medical institutions nationwide. The best way to fight back is by becoming a free member of Do No Harm. We have more than 11,000 members nationwide, from physicians to nurses to folks in academia and concerned parents. Membership is free. Join us at donoharmmedicine.org/become a member. What you mentioned about really appreciating America and its institutions when you travel, that resonates with me so strongly. Me and my family, we love to travel. We do it a lot, but among other things, really, you get enormous appreciation for America and how unique and exceptional it is.
So we have a little visitor, by the way. I thought you might see. This is Greg Garfield, and he's just dying that I'm not petting him. So just want you to see him.
Oh, I mean, that's absolutely necessary and important. I have cats as well, and when they want pets, everything else can wait. That's just how it goes.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I don't intend for this to be a leading question, but while we're talking about the things that makes America exceptional, and obviously that's something that means a lot to you when in the work that you do in the legislature, why then have you taken up the mantle against DEI?
Oh, DEI is an incredibly dangerous cancer that has entered America through the hearts and minds of people who like to separate us. It's entered the hearts and minds of people who are into identity politics, who don't want to see us as individuals, who want to see us as a collective. And my immediate reaction when I see bills or ideas or notions or policies that look at us as Americans and classify us or put us into a group of people, I think on face it's bigoted to be that way. Don't judge me just because I'm a gun-toting dude that lives in the mountains of Tennessee to be anything other than what you see. I also wouldn't judge one of my friends who's African American who lives in the inner city of Memphis to be anything other than what I see. When you see DEI, it clumps the notion that I'm a country boy that lives in the mountains of East Tennessee in a very red state, and I'm pro-gun, that clumps me in that I must be a racist or I must be a bigot or I must be this or that. I'm not into that. I'm not into identity politics. I believe we're all created in the image of God. I believe that my Savior loves you not based on the color of your skin or the content of your character. He loves you based on what his son Jesus did. I don't want to be a part of anything that would separate me from somebody else. I'll tell you this, my son that I adopted is biracial. My daughter is in love and will likely marry a guy who is a 6'4" Nigerian descent, dark skinned man who I love dearly, and I'll perform the wedding if they do get married. I shouldn't have to clarify who I am to anybody. I don't want you judging me based on what you think I might be. I see DEI as a dangerous cancer that clumps you and me and anybody else based on your demographic of who you are and what you must believe. That to me is so dangerous because your view of humanity, your worldview is all of a sudden manipulated by what your perception of this person might be. That is so dangerous. My perception of you, Ian, should be after I meet you, I hear your heart,
Hmm.
not because you're a middle-aged white guy that works for a conservative think tank. I probably know a little bit about you, but I shouldn't judge anything else other than that. I should just know what I know. And I see DI says, well, because you're this and you're this, we're going to classify you over here. And if you're in their mind, if you were classified in a status that is a minority status or a struggling status, then because of that, because you're struggling, because you can't help it, because of the color of your skin, or because of your socioeconomic status, or because where you're born, or whatever these reasons we want to classify somebody, well, because you're that, then it's not fair for you. Life is really too rough for you. So we're going to take and put you up here. We're going to elevate you to a different place than somebody else. Well, that hurts two people. First of all, it hurts you because then now you're based on what their thoughts of you are, and you may get something that you didn't merit. And it also hurts the person who's worked hard, and just because he or she is from a certain socioeconomic status or a certain color, then they don't get to feel the thrill of making it on their own merits. They were held back or they were promoted based on what a group of people think of them. That's cancerous to me. I, I believe that we as humans all rise and fall on our own actions. You, you have the ability, regardless of where you're from, regardless of who your mom is, regardless of who your dad is, regardless of the color of your skin, regardless of anything, you have the ability tomorrow to wake up and say, you know what? I'm going to take ownership of my life today. I'm going to make today my masterpiece. I'm not going to wallow in what happened yesterday. I'm going to wake up today and I'm going to be a blessing to somebody and I'm going to do something with myself. One of my customers yesterday, you're going to love this, 68-year-old man. He decided to go back and get a master's degree in sports management. I mean, he's 68 years old. Who's holding him back, right? So I think DEI hurts you in a way that makes you think you're more special or less special based on what somebody's demographic they've put on you. It's horrible. It's dangerous. It's a cancer. And I hope that we have rooted it completely out of Tennessee. I think we've done everything we can. And then I would love to see President Trump do what he can to stop it. It's a completely unfair, biased, bigoted notion that isn't beneficial to anybody.
I think as we as an organization go out and make our arguments against DEI, we'll just have to bring you along with us to give that same benediction. That was expertly said. I couldn't have put that any better myself. I mean, really, it's about restoring the spirit and promise of America, of a colorblind society where
Yes.
anyone can be whatever they aspire to be. So, I mean, thank you for that.
Let
Really,
me push
really
back on
expertly
you,
said.
Ian. Let me push back a little bit.
Sure.
The notion of saying colorblind is dangerous. Not getting on you. But I've had people say, "Well, Jeremy, you appear to be colorblind to me because of who I am, my time spent in Africa, my adopted child." But the more I think about the notion of being colorblind, the more I think it's we let's rethink colorblind. I think it's important to see color. I think it's important to see diversity. But I think it's most important to see equality, regardless of color or race or creed or religion. It's important for us as humans to view each person as an equal person. As a Christian, it's incumbent on me to know that my Savior loves you just as much as he loves me. There is nothing I bring to the table for his love or his acceptance. There's nothing you bring to the table for his love and acceptance. That's the way I believe all of us humans are. I think we all have the chance to get up tomorrow and be our best selves, regardless of who we are. But I think it's important also to see color and see diversity and celebrate it and not let it scare us. Anyway, I just want to bring that up.
No, I mean, it's an important point. Coleman Hughes really does a terrific job of talking about this, right? Which is that if we're being realistic, of course we do see race. It's one of the most sort of immediate and salient features of people. But the idea being that that has nothing to do with their character, and that we have to be colorblind within our institutions. So whether they're whether they're before the court or receiving health care, they're not Asian or white or black or anything. That they're a human being. I think that's the really pivotal idea, and it sounds like we definitely agree on that. On
On
the
the
note of
courts, you just brought. Let me just touch briefly on the courts.
sure,
We have our judicial system is probably one of the best in America, but it's very flawed because if you're a person of means, regardless of your color, if you're a person of means and you can afford a high-powered attorney, you can get by with a lot. If you're a person who's poor, whether you're in rural Appalachia, where I'm from, or inner city Memphis, whew, yeah, if you're given a public defender who also has 50 other cases they're working on, oh my. And to me, justice sometimes is not blind to that. And one day I'd love to see us work on that, but that's just a little side note. Anyway, because you brought up Coleman Hughes and it made me think my thoughts on that. Go ahead.
on the note of DEI, as you've been debating this in Tennessee, what was the opposition? What arguments did you hear that in terms of people who were in favor of upholding DEI?
So there's a phrase that we hear used often in the legislature, and it's called systematic racism. And we're told that our institutions and everything is inherently racist. And the only way to undo what is systemically or inherently racist is to bring in DEI, and that forces you to undo what's systemically racist. One of my thoughts of that is, since I've had the privilege of traveling all over the world, this is what I know about humans. Humans are bigoted by nature, if you will. And it has really not much to do with color as much as it does with culture. And whether you go to any country in Africa, or I was in Taiwan not long ago, there's a form of bigotry to other Asians there, and back from Chinese to them. There's bigotry everywhere, and to the notion that you can undo bigotry by elevating one group over another, well, actually that's bigoted in of itself, and you're exacerbating bigotry. You can't undo it by that. The truth is we as humans have a heart problem. We have a pride problem, and government can't fix that. That's a you problem. Government at best can just set an example. For me in my life, it's important that and incumbent on me that my children were raised in such a way that they see a mom and dad who love humans. Period. Full stop. We're not into picking this group or that group. We love humans. And I've exposed my children to missionaries all their life. They've traveled with me. For me as a government official, I think it's more important that I model out who we need to be instead of legislating that. And so there's always been this argument since we started understanding what DEI was, that, well, if we don't fix this, then racism is going to get worse, or racism, it's showing this. And I've always thought, actually, DEI is going to make racism worse. It's
Hmm.
not fixing anything. You've exacerbated the problem, and that's the only argument I've ever heard, is that this is the equalizing effect for people um, who are a minority, and it doesn't. I don't see any proof that it does anything to help anybody in minority. Um, so nobody's ever actually brought me proof that it's going to help somebody in a minority. If anything, I feel like we can look through history and we can look currently right now in America and realize it might put people in danger. And my first thought is Boeing out of South Carolina, and,
Yeah.
and the way they've handled DEI. Here's the deal: if you're going to cut on me, and I'm fixing to go under the knife, I don't care what color you are.
Hmm.
Uh, I want to know that you did good in school.
I think we all feel that way, right?
You
People
know,
believe in DEI until that moment comes.
if you're gonna fly me, I'm flying tomorrow to Baton Rouge. I want to know that you're a dang good pilot.
Yeah.
I don't. What color you happen to be is completely immaterial to me. I just want to know that you know what you're doing and that you didn't get there uh, just because you're a certain status in life. I'll take that as far as to food, like to becoming a good chef. I, if I'm going to pay good money for a good meal, I don't want somebody cooking for me at some high end restaurant that I have been fortunate that I get invited to go to or something like that. I'm not interested in a person who became a chef, except for the people who know how to cook and can make a really incredible meal. I'm a foodie. I love to eat well. I don't care what color you are. I just want to know that you know what you're doing and that you didn't get there on the heels of somebody else or stepped over somebody else to get there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, let me ask you one more question. I want to let you get back to work, killing bugs or whatever it is you're doing there. Um, the note of systemic racism, what the other side claims, or the factor that necessitates DEI. Do you think Donald Trump's election changes the paradigm there? Because I could envision two ways in which it does. One is that people claim that he is a manifestation of white supremacy, and yet you saw an enormous realignment with him getting an enormous amount of votes from minority communities. And the other is, it really plays into this broader idea of identity politics. And, if you look at the early postmortems, it really looks like it's become an enormous political liability. And so do you think this event maybe moves the needle and helps us go beyond this narrative that America is somehow a systemically racist country?
So I would love to have hope that that's going to happen, but in my travels throughout the world, like I said before, Ian, I don't think we're ever going to get to a point that there's not bigotry. Bigotry is prevalent in every society across this world, and it's ugly. It's rooted in pride. It's evil. I would love to think that an election can undo it, but this is a heart problem.
Just
Eh,
to Sorry, just to clarify though, I don't mean the idea of actually stamping out bigotry, which will unfortunately always exist. I
Right.
mean this narrative that somehow bigotry is systemic or structural in the United States, which I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't think I no. Here's what you have to understand about liberals. Liberals are always looking for somebody who feels like they're a victim. And if you don't feel like you're a victim, then we're going to tell you enough stuff and plant enough stuff in your mind to make you think you're a victim. That's the way the left worked. It's been working that way for hundreds of years. That's the George Soros mentality, is to make sure that you feel like a victim. If I can make you feel like a victim, once you're a victim, then I say, hey, look at here. I'm the only one who can help you out with your victimhood. You just come to me, come to daddy, come to papa. I'm going to work on the big bad man. You're a victim. He hates you. He's got his foot on you. You can't make it. But by God, you vote for me, I'm going to step up and I'm going to fight that big bad man. And I'll do everything I can to make you not feel like a victim. It's a total lie. They've been doing this for years, and I watch the same people go into it. I have friends that are the homosexual lifestyle that are actually Republicans. They're part of the log cabin Republicans, and I've talked to them about how the left preys on the LGBT community. and does everything they can to make them feel like a victim. You have people who actually are having meltdowns right now saying that Donald Trump is going to make it to where they can't be gay anymore. And I've watched videos. I'm like, this is never even said, but the left has preyed on them so much that they believe this stuff, and and they've become a victim. And so the only person who can help you, if you believe you're a victim, you're gonna, well, who can help me? I'm drowning. Who can help me? And the left is there to putting out a fake hand. They're never going to help you. They don't care to help you. They want to keep you trapped in your victimhood. Uh, man, I'd love to think there's hope, but I'm not that hopeful. So for me, it's incumbent that I keep speaking truth on podcasts like this. Every time I get a chance to speak a truth, I tell people you're not a victim. You tomorrow you're the master of your own artist. You're your own artist. You get up tomorrow and do what you need to do to make you better. I tell that every time I speak in school. I tell kids you're not a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are some people who are victims who have been victimized, but even for people who've been victimized, you can get help. You don't have to stay a victim. You can become somebody by following the rules, bettering yourself, and you don't have to cheat to get ahead. I was raised really rough. My dad was bipolar, knocked me unconscious before as a child. Like, I know what it is to struggle. My dad was so troubled, he ended up taking his life.
Sorry to hear that.
I'm just saying that as an example. It's like, we all have stories, right? You have stories, Ian. I have stories. We all have a reason to say, hey, I'm a victim. But I think at the end of the day, there comes a point that you have to say, all right, I'm a victim, but I'm ready to become strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm ready to get help, and I'm ready to not stay in this vicious cycle of victimhood.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, and I mean, everything you say just resonates. And the reality is, I see some reasons for optimism with the election outcome and what it means, but of course, we can't just we can't trust that things are just going to take care of themselves. And I'm very thankful that there's people like you out there fighting that good fight.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Sure thing. It's my pleasure. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see a bear today, of course, but hopefully next time.
And maybe next time. Yes.
Next time. Anyway, Representative Faison, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yes, sir. God bless you, Ian.
Thanks. You too. This is the Do No Harm podcast. I'm Ian Kingsbury. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to receive alerts when new episodes drop. And if you liked what you heard, share with your networks. Thanks for standing with us as we restore sanity to medicine.